And another constraint on us is that we live in democracies, and in democracies we have to have consultation exercises when we discuss building things like this. And here you can see a consultation exercise in full swing in the little town of Penicuik, just south of Edinburgh. And you can see the children of Penicuik celebrating the burning of the effigy of the windmill. Because if there's one thing the British people are good at, it's saying no. And here's just a few more organisations expressing their views on wind farms. So, what can we do about this? Well, you could say, oh yes, let's not have onshore wind farms, let's have them offshore instead, because no one would object to offshore wind farms. Well, I think again, because here's the Save Our Scenery group protecting our heritage, because they don't want the view ruined by offshore wind farms. Wind farms would threaten airports, that would be bad. Surfers are worried about the impact, and fishermen oppose offshore wind farms as well. Finally, the last straw in the coffin for offshore wind farms, perhaps, is that they would threaten national security because we couldn't possibly defend ourselves anymore if we had wind farms ruining the radar. So, after these sort of consultation exercises have taken place, can we imagine building anything approaching country-sized renewable facilities? Well, I'd be happy to, but maybe it's a challenge. And maybe after we've gone through these sort of consultations, we might end up in a place like Britain, Massachusetts or New Jersey with renewables on a scale smaller than today's consumption. I think that is a realistic view of where renewables could get us to, unless we transform the public attitude to renewables. So maybe with a lot of effort we could get, say, something like 17 kilowatt hours per day per person in Britain. That would match today's electricity, but remember, energy consumption is more than just electricity. There's transport and heating and industry and so on, which need to be dealt with as well. So what can we do about this mismatch between today's consumption and the potential of renewables in these high population density places? Well, we can attack the demand side. We could reduce demand. And there's three ways of doing this. One is to reduce population. I don't know a friendly way of doing that. The second is to get people to change their lifestyle, because obviously most of this energy consumption is to do with lifestyle choices. And third, you could transform the technology that people are using and say, let's use far more efficient technology. We can make things 100 times more efficient, or maybe 10 times more efficient, or, well, let's check exactly how much more efficient. And we'll talk about other supply-side options in addition to our own renewables. These high population density countries could say, well, let's solve the problem with clean coal, which means let's carry on using fossil fuels, but let's do something smart with the CO2. So this is clean coal with carbon capture and storage, burying the carbon dioxide in the ground. So that's not actually getting us off fossil fuels, but it might be a smart thing to do to fix climate change. Second, there's nuclear power, which is another sort of fossil fuel with its own popularity problems. And then third, you could say to some other country or state, well, we don't really want lots of renewables in our backyard, so please can we have your renewables, which you have plenty of. So you could imagine New Jersey politely asking Arizona in the same way that Britain could politely ask Libya and Algeria for their renewables. So these are the options on the table for making a plan that adds up. Let me talk through some of the efficiency options now. So I'm going to use a cartoon of Britain. This may not be a perfect match for California. My cartoon says it goes into transport, heating and electricity.